Oh, don't want to do that. Yo, everybody, what's happening? So I don't know if, definitely not on this channel, I was able to discuss this, but you can see below in the lower third. Hopefully you can see in the lower third. Or did I lose video? That is the video I did about 2 weeks ago regarding the medical doctors that had a different thing to say regarding the human malware that we're experiencing. That video was demonetized, it was deleted, I received a strike, and I was unable to do anything for 1 week on YouTube. So, anyway, you can see there's like 3,300 views, 3,300 views, and bam, gone. So, wasn't sure if I mentioned that on this channel, but today is November the 2nd, Monday, 2020. Tomorrow is November 3rd. As Americans know, it's election day, presidential election day. And I just wanted to talk to those who have not voted or maybe have a question on anything. Are we connected? Connected. Update. What is that? Let's just recap what the choices are. We have Donald J. Trump, president for the last almost 4 years, who has tried his best to make America great again, and his opponents have failed to acknowledge that he is the president. They failed to accept the people's choice in 2016. They've done everything they can with the complicity of the mainstream media, Hollywood, the deep state, even the FBI, has thwarted his attempt to make America great again. But it's all failed. As you know, last year was one of the best years in American history in terms of economic growth, employment, best employment numbers, largest number of people working, lowest unemployment for everybody. It was booming. Everything was booming. Things were going great. And then, of course, we got hit by the Chinese virus, the CCP virus, which threw a monkey wrench into things. And now we're recovering from that. And last quarter, we saw a 33.1% jump in GDP or GDP growth, which is really unheard of. It may not be sustainable, but what it means is that whatever losses we saw during the beginnings of this human malware incident are largely recovered. Not there's people out there hurting, the people looking for work still, people out of work, but we're moving in a good direction. So whereas before people might have had a problem with Trump because he didn't have a history, he's got a history, and we can judge him by his fruits. On the other hand, we have Joe Biden, who's been in office for 47 years. He hasn't really accomplished anything notable except for the 1994 crime bill, which locked up a lot of blacks, mostly blacks, for a lot of them for low nonviolent drug offenses. Okay. Now you may agree or disagree, but it's obvious that it was part of the Democrat plan to keep these people locked up, and it was a bad choice. Not only blacks suffered. I'll tell you one quick story. I know a white guy who he was just a pot smoker. He wasn't a bad guy. He only smoked pot. He never touched cocaine. But one of his friends got arrested, and this is after the 1994 crime bill. And what they were doing was a Ponzi scheme, a federal government Ponzi scheme, where if they captured you as whatever, either selling drugs or buying or selling or even possession, they would make you cooperate. And if you cooperated, they were promising you a lower sentence. So what they did was they took this guy. He went to a friend of his, and he said, "Yo, man, can you get me some coke?" And the guy told me, I never sold coke before. I never touched coke. I don't do drugs, except for marijuana. He would smoke marijuana. And this guy, his name is, he passed away about 2 years ago. I think he had a heart attack. He was probably like 52, and he died of a heart attack. What was his name? I can't think of his name right now. Anyway, essentially, it was entrapment. His friend begged him to get him some coke, and so this guy said, "Well, I might know somebody who might know somebody. I'll talk to my dealer," and he wound up getting I don't know, whatever, a few grams of cocaine. I don't know, $100 worth or something like that. I don't even know the numbers, but it was a small amount of cocaine. And he told him to meet him at this bar, and he went to the bar, and as soon as he got there, he realized he was being watched, but it was too late. He kind of didn't listen to his spidey sense tingling, and his buddy, kind of gave him some money, and as soon as he handed over the drugs, boom, he got arrested. So to make a long story short, they did the same thing to him. They said, you get us somebody, and we'll lower the charges, right? So by the way, his friend did not serve any time because his friend entrapped his friend. The first guy basically didn't serve any time. I don't know what he got, if he got a felony charge, possession charge or something, or maybe he was bumped down to a misdemeanor. But my friend, I mean, I call him a friend. I wasn't really my friend. I had a I had a friend who knew him, and because of my friend, I knew this guy. But I spoke to him about it. So he wound up um, being a stand-up guy. He refused to entrap any one of his friends. Okay, because he said it's bullshit. None of my friends do coke. I'm not going to entrap them. It's crazy, right? So what happened was, and it took like 3 or 4 years. He was fighting this case, and eventually, you know, it became realized that there was entrapment, and the federal, whatever, the federal, the state, whoever that was prosecuting him refused to drop the charges. But what they did was they gave him a plea deal that he would serve 6 months in county, and I'm pretty sure he got a felony conviction. I'm not 100% sure, but 6 month sentence. I'm not sure if that would be a felony or not. But he definitely had to go to jail for 6 months. So he went to county lockup for 6 months, and that's his story. So this is all as a result of the 1994 crime bill. So it's not just blacks, it's whites too. A lot of people, these cops overzealous, these federal agents overzealous. Instead of going after the big guys, and we know that the feds actually supported one particular Colombian drug crime family, right? One drug crime family ratted out the other. The Americans went after the other, making the surviving crime family the biggest one. So we know this happened. There's all kinds of corruption going on. Anyways, Joe Biden really has nothing to show for himself. This is his third time running for president. The first time he ran, which I think was in I want to say 92 or 86, whenever the hell it was. He was forced to leave because they caught him plagiarizing, right? The dude was never that sharp, even in prime time. He was accused of plagiarism, and he was. He plagiarized a couple of other people's speeches. Just a scumbag. Now we find out from the laptop that he was selling out pay-per-play as vice president, and even before that, for 30 years, he's been doing this stuff. Started out doing small-time deals with his brother, and then he got his son involved, and they were just acted as the bagmen for him, right? Where they would go make deals with foreign countries, foreign governments, foreign corrupt leaders, or even foreign companies, and Joe would make foreign policy moves in their favor, right? Kind of as a foreign lobbyist. His family was acting as bagmen, foreign lobbyists, all this stuff. Dude is corrupt as hell. And to make matters worse, he's incompetent now. You can see him. I mean, I don't know how to convince anybody who supports Biden to look at the dude. The dude is incompetent. Dude's like he's going down. I mean, he's just mentally incompetent. For a while there, I thought maybe he was faking it because he knows he's going to probably get indicted if Trump gets reelected. But it's too messed up to be faking it, right? The guy's he's just obviously suffering from some issues. Where are we at here? Is this thing working? Is this thing on? Go to my dashboard. Where's my dashboard? Yeah. Okay, we are streaming. So Biden is really a no-go because we know they will use the 25th Amendment on Biden so that Kamala Harris will become president. That's not going to be a good thing. It's not going to be a good thing. The policies are night and day. I mean, this Democrat Party today is nothing like the Democrat Party of John F. Kennedy. It's probably the last real Democrat, right, in the traditional sense, a pro-American, pro-working man party. The new Democrat Party, this current Democrat Party, is all about racial racial animosity, you know, Marxism, cultural Marxism, white versus black, gay versus straight, man versus woman. It's all identity politics. It's all identity politics. And honestly, what it has done is alienate the majority of the country, regardless of what color you are, who just don't believe in that. Because if you're a traditional American, you believe that all American. If you're American, you're American, right? Especially when you leave the country, and that maybe happens for all people. Like I know also Australians or British, when they leave their country, go to another country, regardless of how they feel about their country, when they leave, they form a new community in a new country, right? But even in the United States, most people feel like if you're American, you're American, right? Red, white, and blue, all that good stuff. And this whole racial narrative nonsense, people just don't like, and for good reason. So what can I tell you? Yeah, Biden. I mean, the party's gone downhill. I mean, if you listen to some of the JFK speeches, JFK is like as right wing, as populist as Kennedy. I'm sorry, as Trump, even more so in many ways. And this party is nothing like that. It's out of control. So you got to go in there and vote Republican or conservative or whatever. Oh, on some of the ballots, if you haven't voted before, I mean, just be aware of what you're going to be seeing. Oftentimes, the same candidate. So, for instance, New York, where I voted, President Trump is on the ballot as a Republican. Also, they have like a conservative party. President Trump is also the candidate. It doesn't matter which party you vote for in terms of conservative party or the Republican Party if you're still voting for Trump. But what it does is it says which party you actually support, right? So if you vote Republican for Trump, then it just lets you know that you're Republican. If you vote on the conservative line for Trump, you're still voting for Trump, but you're letting the conservative party know how much support they have, right? That's all it is. But also be aware of the House seats. The entire House, the 535 seats are up for grabs, and 35 Senate seats are up. So be sure that when you look at the ballot, whether it's electronic or push button thing, depends upon what state you're in, what technology they're using, or it's on piece of paper. Look at those people that are also on the ballot. And I mean, there are some rhinos out there, but it's better to vote for a rhino than a Democrat in most cases, and probably like 99% of the time. I mean, the rhinos are going to get kicked out one way or the other. They're not going to survive much longer. But certainly, you can't be a Christian or a Catholic and vote Democrat based upon what they believe. They believe in abortion up till and even after birth. I mean, that's 100% antithetical to Christian beliefs, Catholic beliefs, 100%. They believe in supporting LGBT nonsense. I mean, this is heretical, right? If you're a Christian. One thing on that point is supposedly 30 million evangelicals did not vote in 2016 because they were told that Trump is a bad man because he's been married 3 times, right? In the face of Hillary Clinton, an obvious scam artist, an obvious criminal, right? So they just didn't vote. And I really encourage all evangelicals, if you didn't vote in 2016 or in 2018, you got to get out and vote. You got to get out and vote in 2020. We got to make this a red landslide, a red mandate, because we know the Democrats are going to try to cheat. I mean, it's just obvious what they've been doing. They're obvious with the mail-in ballots. They're going to try to cheat. But if we make this such a huge, massive success by tomorrow, uh, no matter what cheating they do, it'll be just be so obvious that they're cheating that it just won't go anywhere. So those are my thoughts. Excuse me, the day before the election, November 3rd, the final day. You can, in many places, you can vote today. You can vote early, and maybe it's better for you to vote today or tonight so that you don't have to worry about a mad rush tomorrow. Or if you can, vote early tomorrow. As soon as the polls open, get there early so you can get in and get out. Because oftentimes, I've been there voting in person, and I got there early because I had to go on to work. And 7, 8 o'clock, there's maybe one person in front of me, right? Of course, it wasn't 2016 or 2020, but it was a while back. Get out there and vote. Your vote counts. And for those of you who think your vote doesn't count, or this is a different situation. I mean, I understand maybe in past elections where it was like the two sides of the same coin, right? This is a real difference in who you vote for. Trump versus Biden, Kamala. This is a really vastly different platforms. I mean, night and day. It's not two sides of the same coin. Trump is uncontrolled by any of the lobbyists. Okay, you might say he's got one lobbyist group that he's sort of in bed with, or he highly supports. But when you think of it, it doesn't really hurt us. It doesn't hurt Americans. It may hurt other um, third parties, let's say, but it doesn't hurt us. You know what I'm talking about. This particular tribe. He moved the capital. He gave them control, or he acknowledged their control over a certain piece of land. I'm maybe not in favor of that, or I don't care about that. But it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt America. I mean, and he's made peace with these Middle Eastern countries, 3 of them so far. And he also made peace between Kosovo and Serbia. Can you believe this? Dude, can you believe this? President Trump has been nominated for, I think it's 3 or maybe 4 Nobel Peace Prizes for actually making peace, okay, and keeping us out of senseless wars. So when you sum it all up, regardless of how you think about how his public persona is, and I know he can be, look, as a New Yorker, I see the New Yorker in him, the sort of the crudeness, the brashness. But the stereotype is kind of true. You go to California, people will be smiling and saying "Have a nice day" to you, when where their thinking is "F off." Whereas in New York, they might say "F off," but they're thinking "Have a nice day." You see what I'm saying? It's just a difference in style, but when it comes to the fruits of his labor, what has he done? What has he actually accomplished? What has he actually been fighting for? He's been fighting for the American people, regardless of your color. I know some people are saying, look, he's only doing this for blacks or African Americans, Hispanics. He's not helping the white man. Look, if he's helping the least of our brothers, it's going to help you. Any policies that help blacks are going to help whites. Just be honest about it, right? If there's economic growth for blacks, it means there's going to be economic growth for the whites. So it's economic growth is economic growth. Rising tide raises all boats. And there's obviously certain communities that have been neglected in the past, and he's set up community zones that help bring in investments into these areas. It's been hugely successful. I've talked to people in the United States, in different states, and they all say, dude, it's boom. At least before COVID, that there's help wanted signs everywhere. People are getting jobs. It was a good time. Stock market was reaching all time. I knew it was going to break 30,000. It almost got there, right? Almost got there. But it's going to get back up there as soon as Trump wins, because people are going to know that he's going to lower taxes again, and he's gonna keep his promises. Promises made, promises kept. So that's my final appeal to you guys. I mean, this is just common sense. Be rational. Don't freak out. And I'm getting a little bit laggy here. A little bit laggy here. But anyhow, I want to remind you to always make it happen for the captain because you're the captain. Get out and vote. Make it happen for the captain.